guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a look for you that's a soft matte bridal look. I actually posted this look on my Instagram last week and a lot of you said that you wanted a tutorial on it, so here I am. And I've just changed the lip because I couldn't find the lip color that I was wearing in the photo. And so if you were a fan of that photo, the lip color that I was wearing there was the Gerard Cosmetics Serenity Liquid Lipstick, and today I wore something a little more glossy, so it kind of shows you the difference between glossy and matte and what you would prefer on your wedding day or on clients that you're working on. So I tried to design this video so that it would help you if you're doing your own makeup on your wedding day or if you are working with clients on their wedding day. So this is the type of look that will look good on any skin color, any eye color. If you're really fair with really light blue eyes or light green eyes, this will look good on you. And even on me, where I'm a little bit more tan, I have darker hair and I have dark eyes. So if you guys want to see how I did this, then just keep on watching. So to start off today, I will be moisturizing my face using the Benefit Triple Performing Facial Emulsion. And this is just a lighter type of moisturizer for normal to combination skin, which is what I have. If you have someone with more dry skin, I would definitely recommend using the Benefit Total Moisture Facial Cream, because that is very hydrating. But if you put that on someone that has combination to oily skin, then it's going to make them look very oily throughout the day. So I would definitely not recommend it for people with oily skin. As important as it is to prep the skin, I believe it's also even more important to prep the area below the eyes. So in order to do that, I actually use two things. I will use an eye cream, and this eye cream that I'm using today is the Sanitas Peptiderm Eye Treatment. And then I will go over that with some Tarte Maracuja Oil for extra hydrating. Just to make sure that my concealer applies smoothly and doesn't look cakey or dry when I apply my powder. Now, anytime that I'm doing someone's makeup or even my own, I like to start with the eyes, just so that any fallout that happens to fall down onto my cheeks can just be wiped away and won't mess up the rest of my makeup. So in order to start the eyes, I like to start by framing the eyes, and that is filling in the eyebrows, which I think is one of the most important things that you can do on a client, because the eyebrows frame the entire face and they just make such a huge difference. So when I'm filling someone's brows or even my own, I tend to choose a color that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than I would normally think it would be. So if I was matching to my hair, I might originally say that this is, you know, like a medium brown, but I'm actually using a taupe shade today, which is 2 shades lighter, because it would be taupe, ash brown, and then medium brown. So I'm using taupe today, and I'm just using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. So as you can see, after I fill in the brow, I tend to brush through it with the little spoolie end just to make sure that all of the product is evenly distributed, sorry, and looks uniform. Now that I've finished filling in my brows, I'm just going to prime my eyelids with some concealer and then also take a concealer brush, which today I will be using the Mikasa E220 brush, and just bringing that along the edge to kind of further define my eyebrows. I really like to use concealer to prime my eyes just because it's going to correct any discoloration. Plus, it also creates a sticky base for my eyeshadows to stick to so that they show up more pigmented and last all day long. Now that we have a smooth base, I'm just going to go in with a matte bone shade color on a fluffy blending brush and apply that all over the lids just to make sure that all of my shadows blend out nicely and that my concealer doesn't crease. So to do this today, I will be using the Morphe 350 palette and the Morphe M330 brush. Now I'm going to start softly defining the crease using this soft neutral brown shade and the Mikasa E300 fluffy blending brush. So I'm just going to start by working low in the crease and slowly blending upward to create a nice smooth gradient and not create any harsh lines. Because my eyes, hair, and skin are a little bit more on the darker side, I can go quite smoky with this without it looking too overpowering. So that's just what I'm going to do. I'll be going in with some dark browns and dark red colors. You could also do this, it's the same technique doing this on lighter skin and lighter eyes, you just use lighter shades. So you would do the same exact steps as I do, just use softer shades and like slowly build up until the intensity that you want. Now I'm going to deepen the crease even more using a darker shade, and I will be going in with this shade right here, which is a little bit deeper of a matte brown shade. I'm using all mattes today because I like the way that that looks in photos and I feel like it blends out a lot easier. So I will be using this color right here with the Morphe B79 Fluffy Blending Brush. So the majority of my brides tell me that they want their eyes to really stand out on their big day. So that's why I just focus on really bringing the eyes out and making them look as big as possible and just bringing the most attention there. And in order to do that, I like to do a nice soft matte daytime smoky eye, because that is just going to really make the eyes look bigger and brighter and just bring all of the attention there. Now that I've got my crease as dark as I want it, I'm going to go in and further define the outer corner of the eye and just the outer crease area with a more red-brown shade. If you have someone who has more of a red skin tone, then I would definitely suggest going a more neutral direction, or if someone who's a little more on the fair side, I would definitely suggest sticking with the neutrals as opposed to the more warmer red colors. Those look best on more tan skin. So for that, I will be going into this shade with again, the Morphe B79 brush. Again, like I said, I'm just going to concentrate this on the more outer corner, outer portion of my eye. And because I'm bringing this a little bit into the crease, I want to make sure that I'm keeping this much lower than the first color that I applied, so that it doesn't become too dark. Now after all of that, I'm just going to take the original brush that I used to put down my bone shade and just tap off the excess and go over the edges just to make sure that I have no harsh lines. And once that is done, I'm just going to take that bone shade once more and take that on the Mikasa E210 brush. And I'm just going to apply that to the inner 2/3 of my eye, and it's kind of like baking the rest of your face. I'm just going to set it down very thick and let it sit, and then kind of brush away the excess at the end, so that way we make sure that that inner part of the lid stays nice and bright and open. So as you can see, I'm just patting the color on. I'm not swiping it on. This way I get as much product on my eye as possible. Okay, so in order to deepen up the outer corner of the eye, I will be using the Morphe M431 brush. It's like a small tapered pencil brush. So for the outer corner, I'm just going to be mixing these two shades. One is a very dark neutral brown, and the other one is just a deeper reddish tone brown. So I'm just kind of going to mix those two together. So when I apply this to the outer corner of my eye, I'm going to make sure that I am creating sort of a V shape. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit messy at first, we're going to make sure that we blend this out and smoke this out really well so we have no harsh lines. So as you can see, I'm just using very small, short little motions to kind of blend out that top edge. You can also go back in with your fluffy blending brush and blend that out, but I find that sometimes when I do that, I do it a little bit too low, and it just kind of takes away the intensity. I have to keep going back and forth, building it up. So it helps if you just move very slowly, and then when there's almost nothing on your brush, then start to move upward with it and it will blend out nicely. Okay, so now that I've done that, it looks a little bit crazy, especially right in this area here. So we're just going to soften that up and kind of brush away the excess part that we baked. So in order to do that, I'm going in with that same Morphe 330 big fluffy blending brush. This no longer has any product on it, so I'm just using that as my blender. In order to highlight my brows today, I will be using the Mary Luminizer from the Balm, and I'm just going to take that on my, again, on my Morphe M431 brush. Okay, so since we want to keep this look on the lighter side, I'm just going to go along the roots of my lashes along the top with a black shadow on the BH Cosmetics flat shader brush, and I'm just going to press that into my lash line. And if you're working on someone or you have lighter skin or lighter eye color, I would definitely recommend maybe just using a dark brown shade instead of black. Today I will be using the Nubounsom Russian White lashes, and I just love these lashes. These ones are also very natural looking, and they have a little bit thicker of a band, but they're also very comfortable, and they just look so beautiful. They have that flared out outer edge that makes you look like you have those nice almond cat shaped eyes, and I personally really like these ones for an elegant daytime look, which is most of the time what a bride is going for. Now that I've finished with the first half of my eyes, I'm going to go ahead and start on my face. So I'm always going to start by priming the skin, and you want to use something that is going to help minimize pores and make sure that your foundation stays on all day long. So my favorite product to do that is the Benefit Porefessional Primer, and I'm just going to smooth that into the skin. Now, matching the foundation to the person's skin is the most important part of the entire makeup, because if you're going to match to somebody who has, like me, my skin, my neck and my chest and my shoulders are darker than my face. Always match to the neck and chest. And to blend this out, I will just be using the Mikasa F200 stippling brush. Now that I've applied that to my face, I'm just quickly going to go over everything with a damp beauty blender sponge just to pick up any excess product that's left over and make sure that I kind of buff away any brush strokes that were left behind from the stippling brush. Now it's time to go in and cream contour. I highly recommend cream contouring for your wedding day just because it looks very natural and it's going to add more dimension and shape to your face and just make you look very HD, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. It makes a huge difference to contour your face. So for my cream contour today, I will be using the Bobbi Brown BBU palette. And I know that you're supposed to be going only 2 shades darker than your skin tone. So to apply my contour today, I will be using the Mikasa E220 brush, which is the same brush that I used to define my brows with my concealer and when I was priming my eyes at the beginning of this video. So my personal preference for blending all of this out is using a flat top kabuki brush just to kind of buff everything in and make sure it all blends together. I have a harder time blending with the beauty blender. I like to go over that after. So for my kabuki brush today, I will be using this Sigma Flat Kabuki F80 brush. Now that I've blended out my contour, I'm going to go ahead and correct any discoloration under my eyes, which I do have darker circles. I have a little bit of like a bluish tint under my eyes, so in order to counteract that, I will be using an orange concealer, and for that I will also be taking the Bobbi Brown BBU palette, and I will be using the shade Dark Peach today, and I'll be applying that with that same Mikasa brush. When you highlight, you want to make sure, again, that you only go 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin tone, and that is going to give you the most natural looking effect. So for this, I will be using the medium light neutral shade. I like to use the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer that I also use to prime my eyes. This is just my favorite concealer for the under eye area because it has a high coverage, but it also is nice and moisturizing, but it also doesn't crease. So it's very hard to find a concealer that will do that. And now to blend that out, this is actually much easier to blend than the Bobbi Brown foundation sticks, so I will be using my beauty blender for that. So in order to set my under eyes today, I will be using my damp beauty blender mini, and I will be taking some of the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. So what I'm going to do is just load up my mini beauty blender with some powder and then tap off any excess on the back of my hand because there's a lot of excess on it, and then just slowly press it into the under part of my eye. Now I am going to go ahead and bake my skin. I will be taking my bigger beauty blender and dipping it into the powder and then just placing like a thick amount of powder to the highlighted areas of my face. Now usually after I apply this, I tend to let it sit for about 5 minutes while I do the rest of the eyes, but right now I'm actually going to immediately wipe it away because I don't want this to be super intense baking. So to wipe the baking away and blend it into my skin, I will be using the Mikasa F100 Fluffy Powder Brush. Now I'm going to further define my cheekbones using the NYX High Definition Blush in Taupe, and I will be applying that with my MAC 135 brush. Now I'm going to go ahead and bronze up my face using that same MAC brush, and I'm going to go in with my Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion in shade 30M. And when you bronze up someone's skin or contour their skin with a powder, you want to make sure that you're using a matte powder, because if you're using something with shimmer in it, it's not going to sculpt the face how it should, because you're creating shadows. You don't want it to reflect any light. This blush that I'm using today isn't completely matte. It has a little bit of a sheen to it, but not so much that it's just going to look like a huge hunk of glitter on your cheeks. So for this, I will be using the NYX Soft Spoken blush, and I will be applying that using the Mikasa F110 contour brush. Okay, so I'm feeling like this blush is just a little bit too light. It's not really showing up the way that I want it to. So I'm going to go in with a darker blush instead, and this one is matte. It is in the Tarte Energy Noir palette, so I will be using this blush instead. Highlight is a personal preference for everyone. Some people don't like that extra glow on their cheeks. I personally love it. So with that, I like to go in with a bigger brush first, which I'll be using that same Mikasa F110 that I used to apply my blush. And I'm going to go in with the Mary Luminizer highlight by the Balm, and I'm just going to lightly dust that on the tops of my cheekbones. And at this point, you could stop and just add mascara to your lower lashes and be good, and just move on to the rest of your face and your lips, but I like to smoke it out a little bit underneath the lash line. So now I'm going to further smoke that out using the lightest shade I used in my crease, and I'm going to take that on the Morphe M431 brush and just smoke out that lower edge to make sure that there are no harsh lines and everything blends seamlessly. Now I'm going to clean off that Morphe M431 brush and go in with my highlight color and highlight the inner corners of my eyes just to make them look very awake and open. Now this is also personal preference, but I like to go in again with that Mary Luminizer highlight and just spray a smaller brush with some setting spray so that it shows up a little bit brighter in certain areas of my face. Now I like to go ahead and highlight my upper lip, just the Cupid's bow, because this makes the lip look a little bit more pouty. So again, I'm just going to take that Real Techniques brush and some of that Mary Luminizer by the Balm and wet the brush again with some setting spray, and then just apply it very softly to my top lip. So I'm going to start by lining my lips using the Jordana Easyliner in Rose Crush. These are my favorite lip liners of all time. They're just not dry and they don't cake up, and they're beautiful colors, and they're also like $2, so you cannot go wrong with that. Now I'm going to go over that Jordana lip pencil with the Urban Decay Naked 2 Revolution lipstick. And because this is just a little bit too nude for my taste, I want it to be a little bit more peachy. I'm going to go over that with the YSL Rouge Volupte Shine lipstick in shade 15. Now to finish everything off, I'm just going to set everything in place and take down any leftover powder and make everything blend together nicely using my Urban Decay All Nighter Makeup Setting Spray. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful, especially if you are a makeup artist working on clients and you are having a little bit of a hard time, or you wanted some more tips and tricks to help you out with your application process, or even if you are a bride wanting to do your own makeup. I hope that this helps you, and please let me know what you think in the comments below, and make sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from my channel. I'm going to be putting out at least one video a week for now until I get more used to the process, and then I will be starting to post more often. I'm just trying to get used to editing and getting that done as quickly as possible. Right now, editing for me takes about 4 to 5 hours, besides how long it takes to film. So I'm working on that, but soon I will be posting a lot more often and you'll see a lot more from my channel. So I hope that you guys liked it, and I will hopefully see you on the next one. Bye!